That's always such a layered question, Gabby, because it's like, I think that's the journey that we all on, is trying to like discover who we actually are. And every day is like, for me personally, it's like a recreating of oneself. Not to say that I don't have my foundation and all of that. I would say at the foundation and core of it all, you know, I'm a guy I was raised in Bachelor, in the Cape Flats in Cape Town, in a very good home with 3 sisters, very stable, very Christian home. If anything, I was a little bit of the black sheep, the one who always was up to no good, trying to sort of discover myself, trying to find out who I am. And I think that was also the beauty about being an artist or being an actor, is like it's a constant self-discovery and like constant figuring out, you know. So it's like it's always an interesting question, because I don't have the answer, but I don't live by the answer, I live by the question. Like every day is a new question, like okay, cool, like a recreation of oneself. But I think at the bottom of it all, I'm just an average guy trying to make a living. So yeah, it was quite interesting because, like you said, I was living in LA for about 5 years, and I was hustling out there. In my final year before I came back home, I booked 2 feature films. The one was supposed to shoot last year, and the one that I had just finished one in Sacramento, in Chico. And then I came back home to do another movie locally and to see the family and to work out commercial season. And then just before I left, I had done 2 auditions for Legacy, just before I was supposed to go back to LA, which was supposed to be on the 3rd of March. And then I had a tough call to make, because I had to decide whether I was going to go back to LA into this massive unknown of COVID and what the industry was like there, or do I stay at home in an industry that I at least kind of know how to navigate, and I know my family's nearby. So what I decided on was to stay. And then thankfully, I think it was the best decision I could have made at the time, because Legacy, I booked Legacy, and then I flew up here. And it's been wonderful. You know, the cast is great. I don't think I've played a lot of people don't see him as a goody boy, but I think he's a little bit of a softie, like a good boy, like the way he's written, at least. He doesn't mean to hurt people, but he kind of does at the same time, because he's also like, you know, I think he's trying to be too perfect in a world where everything else around him is so flawed. But it's a way different role to Riaz that I play on Suidooster on Cakenet, because Riaz is like this cocky, arrogant, he was into drugs, women, alcohol, a very liberal guy from the UK, from South Africa, but lives in the UK. So it is two very different roles. And I think people are quite surprised sometimes when they see the 2 different roles, because they are 2 different guys. But the nice thing about this long medium with telenovela is that because it's like 208 episodes in one season, we have the freedom of self-discovery and trying to figure out who someone is as the writers decide the railway lines that we need to follow, which kind of tracks back to the question you asked me in the beginning, who am I? Yeah. And I think SJ is trying to figure that out as he goes too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the past, yeah. And I mean, SJ was initially written as a 24-year-old guy, and that's why I was like, yikes, I'm not 24, but okay, I'll give it a go. And it was, there are parts of SJ that I do relate to. I think especially in my youth, in my younger years, I was a lot more people-pleasing, you know, and a lot less, this is what I want, this is my opinion, I was a lot less assertive on what I wanted and when I wanted it. And I would always ask for permission and kind of just let the wind take me where the wind takes me. And I think that's kind of where SJ's at, you know? But I'm a lot, yeah, I think that's the difference between the 2 of us, is that I've become with experience and with maturity and with age. I'm still not the most mature person in the world, but I think I've become a lot more assertive and a lot more, when I want something, I know I want it. When I don't, I don't. You know, there's a lot more, yeah. Yes. That's amazing that you know that. Yeah. I'm a junior. I'm Anton Jr. In real life, I have 3 sisters. I have 3 sisters on the show. In real life, I'm mixed race. actually colored. But so there are like a few similarities. I mean, he was also raised with a silver spoon in his mouth and mollycoddled all the way through. You know, where I grew up, I had to be tough. I had to be hard. I had to put on this persona of like, don't F with me. You know, so there was a lot of that I had to, with as life went on, I had to shape that outside persona also of like this exterior toughness to like also allow people in, is what I struggled with growing up. But SJ, I think he's so trusting. I would never be as trusting as SJ. But because of the way that I grew up, I'm a lot more street smart. I'm a lot more, I would call it just street smart. But he's, because of how he was grown up, soft and like a mommy's boy, and you know, everything was kind of laid out for him his whole life. So, yeah. But I think that he's gonna, like, he has so many redeeming qualities. At the end of it all and at the bottom of it all, he means well. You know, he wants to protect everyone. He wants to protect his family. And I think with time, hopefully, that he will step into his skin a little bit more and grow up and actually have more of a backbone and take charge. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, we like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we're like shooting like now in the early hundreds, and we need to finish 208 episodes, you know. So a lot of the time, I think the audience must be, where's so and so, where's this character, where's that one? But we're quite a big cast, and during a time of COVID, everyone needs a storyline and storylines, and I think also what they try to do, they try and keep the amount of people on set to a minimum, you know? So if you're not required on set, or there's no reason to put a certain character in a scene, let's rather keep them out. Nice. to keep the COVID regulations. Hey, I'm telling you, when I started this job, it was after level 5 lockdown. And it was about level 4. And I'm going to tell you, I started the lockdown very good, very disciplined. I was like, you know, working out at home. But then for a solid month and a half, I let go. I did whatever I want, ate whatever I want, you know. Yeah. And then I got the call from Legacy, and I was like, oh shit. And then I picked up the skipping rope again, started doing the push-ups and doing all the things and eating clean. And you know, it's just for me personally, it's a balance. It's like one needs to also live. You need to have fun. Over this December period, I had the most amount of fun too. I let go for like 2-3 weeks. Didn't care about working out, didn't train, didn't do any of that. But I know when it's time to work. And now I'm back. I've got like a coach that works with me. He sends me eating plans, so I try and be as clean as possible. And yeah, I'm just, consistency is key, you know, because in that industry, you can't be 100% on it all the time. Yeah. You need to let go, pick up some body fat, just live, be crazy, and then just come back, you know, when it's time to like tighten things up again. Yeah. I used to do a lot of Muay Thai. And I still do it maybe like once a week now, like Thai kickboxing. But for the most part at the moment, it's just like a balance between cardio on the treadmill and weightlifting. So it's that boring type of schedule: Monday legs, Tuesday shoulders, biceps. It's that whole thing, you know. But at least there's a purpose for me doing it, so I can't complain. I do enjoy it. Ooh. I don't know. Is our children watching?
If they have access to the internet, yeah, they will see this.
I'm just joking. I'm kidding. I mean, I obviously now the world is not the same. So it's like, I do go to like private house parties when I'm invited to keep things small.
Yeah.
Right now, obviously there's an alcohol ban, so the parties aren't what they usually are.
Yep.
Not yeah. But I can go crazy like everyone else and go to a big party and have a lot of fun. Or I can also be an extreme introvert and just totally isolate myself from the world and go to the movies alone once or twice a week.
Oh.
And I do that too, you know, where I just isolate from the world and I can stay in and just enjoy my own company and just like read and catch up on work and things like that. So again, it just comes down to the balance of it all, you know, but I'm always up for a good time, always down to have fun. I mean, you've seen me in 2013.
Yeah.
You saw what
Yeah.
that was like. So
Yeah.
It's a very good question. Firstly, I like being a freelancer because your life can change overnight.
Yeah.
The opportunities that acting has afforded me, finance would never have afforded me the same type of opportunities. I don't think a finance degree would ever have taken me to Wall Street. Acting took me to Hollywood, you know? So it's like, I was okay at finance, and I mean, I'm still growing as an actor. I don't think that ever ends, the growth and all of that type of thing. But it wasn't something that I chose for myself. Like acting was the first thing that I chose for myself. I think that's what it felt like growing up. I think traditionally growing up in the neighborhoods that you grew up in, people choose for you all the time. Your parents chooses for you. Society chooses for you. Your teachers choose for you. Everyone's telling you what to be and what to become. And I think acting was the first thing for me where I felt that I chose this for myself. And if I mess this up, it's all on me. So I did finish the finance degree, and I finished half an honors degree in finance, economics, and information systems and insurance. I did all of those things, but like there was like this moment of like, holy shit, like I can't picture myself doing this for the rest of my life. Like imagine sitting in an office and just doing this. I mean, the kudos to those out there who are doing it, because it is a very lucrative profession, and those guys tend to by now be married with 3 kids and have a stable picket fenced house. And I
call them boring.
it's that life that someone has to do it. And I was just like, I don't want to be someone
Absolutely.
who does that. So I was like, I dropped out, and I did my first acting class like 10, 11 years ago.
Sure.
Using my full salary that I was getting working as an ops manager at the time in the oil and gas industry. I used my full salary, and I was like, I went to my first acting class. And then from there, it was just a continuous hustle, and it still is a hustle. That was always a big fear of mine, because I do read the best artists of all time die poor or broke. And then once they are gone, they are celebrated. It's quite a sad reality sometimes. And I do try and implement my finance degree and what I've learned at university and what I learn in the markets and all of that. I try and keep an eye on certain financial aspects of the industry and because there's a part of me also that longs for stability and longs for financial stability. So I have a little bit of a finger on the real estate market, you know, cryptocurrencies, all these things on the side to like kind of make me feel like, because I'm all about 3 flows of income. So for me, ultimately, I could essentially say that my 3 flows are acting, voiceovers, and commercial work. But that's all still in one basket. So I do try and as I said, the crypto, the real estate, I try and use my finance acumen to the best of my ability so that I can kind of also not be so fully desperately dependent on this industry or on one thing, so that because I do think that you enjoy something more when you're not fully dependent on it. I have 3 tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
This one I got when I came home. I came home from LA for the first time, I think, in 18 months in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was for my sister's wedding. And knowing that I was about to leave, and I'm not sure when I was going to come back at the time, because at the time I'd had like a kind of job there and I was still hustling, trying to build my career in LA. I wanted something to remind myself about home. You know, I'm sure I could have taken something from my mother's house. It would have been a lot less painful than putting it on my body. But yeah, that's just something, and a design that I kind of had in my mind. And I'm quite impulsive. When something comes to mind, I just want to do it immediately. The other one is, the other one's on the inside of my arm over here. That one is actually symbolic of King David. This is my favorite story biblically growing up, where David is like slays Goliath. So it's kind of, my second name's David too, and it was one of my favorite stories in the Bible. And I just, you know, it's like kind of, you know, a small man taking on big things.
Yeah.
You know, that's what that kind of symbolizes. Because there's like two Hebrew signs on there, the Chai and the Star of David, and the Christian sign, and then a cross. Not a cross, yeah, a cross and a crown. And then on my back, I've got like an A and angel wings and all of that stuff. You know, I'm more of like I'm pretty liberal and open-minded, and these are things that us as humans do. You know, we get intimate. And I think sometimes, like, the South African market especially is a very conservative market. So it's like, you know, South Africans don't swear, they don't have sex, they don't do all these things. So it's like, that's why I think it's such an interesting barrier for a local production company to push, where they actually show a little bit of these things. Like, we are allowed to watch American and European shows where they do anything they want and they go the distance. But as soon as it's a South African show, I think we're too scared to step on people's conservative toes. And that being said, I don't cringe when I'm on my own and I'm watching it. I'm like, yeah, boy, get it. But I do cringe when I'm with my family, because I would rather not be with them. If anything, I'd rather they not watch it.
Oh.
Because I know their position on things. I know that they are very conservative. I know that that it's going to make them uncomfortable. Yeah. So I don't want to put them in that position. I'd rather they not watch it, and I'd rather not watch it with them. But if I'm on my own and away from the family, I'm like, yeah, I don't mind watching it.
Yeah.
It's like a combination of single and that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Be either or, okay?
Am I allowed to combine too?
You can.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your?
Yeah, I'm single. I am single. You know, I grew up in a household with very independent, strong, and go-getting woman. You know, like, my mother now is like, she's a finance director. My eldest sister's a clinical head of a hospital. She does periodontic work, surgery in the mouth. My second eldest sister is the regional office manager of West Bank in Cape Town. My baby sister works for the second biggest dental supply company in the world as a sales rep, and she's an oral hygienist. So there's something about, I will say, like, and I respect them so much, and especially in a world where I'm so pro woman and like woman power, and you know, it's time that girls step into positions of power and take their place. So those are things that turn me on, and in a woman too, is like just a girl that owns herself and is super ambitious and doesn't apologize for who she is, and likes adventure. and pushes my boundaries, because sometimes I can get quite comfortable where I don't feel like doing something, but she would just like take my hand and be like, let's go, you know, let's like run with me, like just like let's see new things, let's explore, let's do stuff. So I'd say that's probably the perfect partner. I don't know if they're out there.
No.
You out there listening? Well, right now, it's not my storyline at the moment, but I've been in talks with the writers and with the producers, and there's some storylines coming up that I can't quite discuss for SJ per se. But I'm working on an international film. So I'm working on an international film in Cape Town the month after next, where I've got a role in there as a bad guy, which is going to be quite nice to play. And then I've got a film that we're supposed to shoot that was supposed to be done in Georgia, in Savannah. It's been moved they're talking about moving it to New Zealand for 6 weeks in September to film there. Also an international, which is a much better one actually, because it's more of a supporting lead character. So that's kind of what's up career-wise, and I keep hustling, keep pushing. I do what I can to keep the momentum. And I guess, to see what I'm up to, I guess it's just like what everybody else does. You know, we follow each other on social media, and to see what we do every day. And if you want to, I mean, they can follow me at Anton Jephta on Instagram, and I try and I've become better at posting these days and keeping people involved and stuff like that, because I used to take that for granted before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But